Revealed. How I completely reversed my diabetes, dropped 30 pounds of pure fat, and my doctor told me to throw out my medication, because I'm diabetes-free. I felt intense pain in my chest, and I collapsed to the floor in pain. Honey, call the ambulance. I blurted out to my wife. As I lay on the floor, I looked at the photo of our children on the table. I remember thinking that this might be the last time I see them. My wife ran to my side. Thank God she was home. She dialed 911, and checked my blood sugar. It was 380, and I was having a heart attack. I knew I only had minutes before it would be too late, just minutes. My wife Melanie was on the phone with the emergency room, and quickly got the insulin. Thoughts raced through my head as stabbing pains pierced my chest. The next thing I remember is waking up in the hospital with a doctor looking straight at me, my wife sitting by my side, tears streaming down her cheeks. My children standing near, looking at a father they have never seen before. I was diabetic and just had a heart attack. And I felt weaker and more helpless than I did in my entire life. What I didn't know is that 65% of diabetics die from heart disease, heart attacks and strokes. And the risk of heart disease, death and stroke are twice as high in people with diabetes. You could have died today. The doctor said, kindly looking at me and my family, if you don't change something, you will have another heart attack in a month. I didn't want to believe it. I loved my wife and children, and my dream was to hike the Grand Canyon one day. I remember laying there in tears, and thinking about my family. This could have been my end, fading into a darkness forever. No longer being able to see the beautiful smiles on my children's and grandchildren's faces. Not seeing them grow up, get married or start their own families. As I lay there in that cool hospital room, I felt scared and ashamed like never in my life. I could have done something sooner. I thought to myself, I would have left my family alone without support or love. Having my wife and children go through unbearable pain to bury their father and husband, just that thought alone made me even more scared. How could I do this to them? I thought. I turned to them and brought them close. I was still weak, but I remember some strength returning to me as nurses and doctors passed by our open door. I had IVs in my arm, and I was weak, tired, and ashamed. I never thought this could happen to me, but it was real. The heart attack was real, the hospital was real, and the fact that I could have died was very real. Why am I sharing this very personal story with you today? Well, this was the most painful, scary, and dreadful moment in my life. It forced me to go on a journey that changed everything in my life and the life of thousands of men and women around the world. Where I would discover the real cause of diabetes and its symptoms. A truth that the diabetes industry seems to keep to themselves, whose entire business relies on you taking more and more medication, until you suffer a heart attack, stroke, or fall into a coma. You see, unlike what you might have been told, your high blood sugar or that unwanted weight is not the issue. The amount of exercise you do, the amount of drugs or pills you take, your genetics of family history, your weight or carbohydrate intake. But is instead all down to a destructive process inside the body of each diabetic, pre-diabetic, and those who struggle with extra weight, that wreaks havoc on each cell and slowly destroys your body from the inside. In recent years, diabetes has become one of the leading causes of deaths worldwide, and according to the World Health Organization, around 1.6 million people worldwide died due to diabetes in 2016. And not only that, but the cost of having diabetes is absolutely crazy. Unfortunately, what we hear all too often is consumers don't realize until after they have a heart attack or stroke that their insurance coverage may not be adequate, says Dr. Polly Galbraith, Vice President and Chief Medical Director at Assurant Employee Benefits, an insurance provider, says the lifetime cost of treating less severe heart attacks can reach $760,000. For a severe heart attack, the cost can reach $1 million. The figures include indirect costs, such as lost productivity, as well as direct costs, such as hospitalization. Click the link below in description to learn the super simple morning habit. Accidentally reversed my diabetes and normalized my blood sugar from 223 to 88.